Welcome back, Smite fans, to our last game of the night. Team Noxide taking on Avant Garde here. Avant Garde took out game one, not as spectacularly as Legacy took out the Pretty Boys, but still a very strong win for the boys in blue.
Yeah, Vanguard just able to just get those objectives in the late game, get those necessary team fights. And while Noxide, as we mentioned, were looking strong in the early to mid game, they just couldn't capitalize in the end and really make a full effect of their draft. And I'm starting to believe that this Poseidon is just being cursed this week. Like every time Poseidon has picked, it has not won its game.
Well, I just think that there are better mid lane picks out there. The Poseidon is really not performing. Teams are struggling to get off the Kraken, which makes him so potent. And once his Kraken's down, he doesn't do a whole lot. Thanatos, Zeus, and Ratatosk are all banned away here. Apollo, the final ban here from Avant Garde, first pick over to Team Noxide.
And now that the Apollo is banned, Splitpush has quite a few options still available to me. It still has the Izanami, still has the Ram if you want to go look for kind of like a Splitpush kind of pick. Or you can still go like, however, Freya has finally made it to the OPL for this season. Freya touted as one of the best gods, if not the best god in the game right now.
So that's going to be going more than likely to split push over in the ADC lane. So Zay is immediately going to pick up his Hunter in the form of Ram. Performed very well with that character in the last game.
Not to mention, Ram actually doesn't have to worry too much. Freya in the early game doesn't have the best clear, and Ram can allow himself to get a bit of space, even possibly pick up the Silver Branch Bow, the new magical version of Ikaval as well to go along with it. So it can make it a little bit easier for Zays to get further ahead like he did last game and just perform. However, Noxide, this time taking the Khepri.
So the Khepri is going to do similar things to what Sharks did with the game last game, minus the initiation. He's going to be looking to keep his teammates safe, going to be looking to peel for his mid laner and for his ADC, as well as that he's got a very strong revive in his ultimate. Poseidon, though, picked up from Avant Garde. This is very interesting to me that they've gone ahead and picked this one up when the Thoth did such wonderful work for them last game.
It could be very possible that they just want to go straight into that Poseidon Sylvanas combo. You got the Wrath of Terror into a Kraken. You can't CC immune a knockup unless you've done it beforehand, just making it quite a much easier combo to land. And Avant Garde straight away banning away the Thoth. They don't want it to be going to Noxide. But I feel like Nox have a really easy option just going into the Yanis.
The Giannis is available. I don't know how much Noose plays it, though, and it doesn't really seem to be his style or Team Noxide style. They really seem to like, out of the mid lane, a very high burst damage character in that mid role.
Wouldn't you say that like Giannis is that? Like he provides, not only does he have that utility, but once you get to that mid game, you got the phase coming through as well as the unstable vortex just hitting that team, and it does surprising amounts of damage for what seems to be just a basic ability, as Isis and Hun Bats both being taken off the board as well.
The difference, though, is between a Giannis and something like Poseidon, Zeus, or a Vulcan is that it's very difficult to land that unstable vortex, and it's very hard to hit multiple targets with it as well. Yes, you get a lot of damage out of it, and yes, you get a lot of damage out of the through space and time, but once again, the difficulty comes with getting those abilities to land.
And now Noxide, able to get the Odin as well as the actually hovering the Naja. This is a tactic Noxide are known for. That's...
Yeah, Noose loves to hover the Naja before he makes his final selection. The tier, though, is going to be locked in there for Avant Garde for El Kiro. If you saw what he did last game on this Hercules that he played then, he was able to be a very disruptive force with his driving strikes, with his earth shakers, and with his ultimate as well. As well as it was very difficult to kill with his heal and meditation. We saw when they were attacking a Phoenix, he went from 25% health to full health in basically the blink of an eye. With this tier, it's going to allow him to do much of the same thing. Odin and Vulcan now going to be locked in here for Noxide. So, as I mentioned, they love high burst mages in the mid lane with big area of effect abilities. Vulcan suits that to a T.
Not to mention that Odin makes it that little bit easier to secure. However, the Willix, the obvious hard counter coming out against the Odin. If that Odin is going to lunge, well, guess what? A Gravity Surge is going to be most certainly following that up as well. Not to mention, if the Odin can even be able to leave in the first place, thanks to the fact that Poseidon as well as the Ram can cripple, you got the Tier knock-up as well as the Sylvanas knock-up. Lots of CC, lots of basically removing them from positioning and pulling people out of position.
So this Wheelix synergizes well with the Avant team comp, as you mentioned, but like we've seen in the previous games, Poseidon's really struggled to really be much of an impact if any of his farms taken early. If this Poseidon doesn't have a lead, I feel like Avant Garde is going to struggle.
That is why I really like the Blink rune on the Sylvanas. They are wanting to go for these early team fights, looking for early aggression. And if Sylvanas can get an early pull and just Speedy can put the Whirlpool in the right place, that should be pretty easy kill onto Noose on the Vulcan. Even though he does have that Imperial helmet, it won't help against the magical damage from just Speedy as well as Tomolomu. Not to mention, Poseidon can be kind of mana hungry, and that Sylvanas with his Verdant Growth can also help with that as well. Just lots of really nice synergy coming out from the mid laner and the support.
Looking towards our ADCs now, you were talking a little bit in the picks and bans about this Freya being very strong currently. What do you think's elevated her to such status in your eyes?
Especially due to the fact her core item Fatalis got a buff, giving her additional penetration. Not to mention just some of the items that have changed, like how lifesteal works for Mage and some of the items she can pick up, just really allow her to be stronger in the late game and just allow her to do more. In the past, she had a few issues, and actually looking over in the mid lane now, we also see Sharks already have taken a lot of damage from Tomolomu in the Just Speedy combo. It's quite hard to get away if you can't use your dashes.
Sylvanas noted for his ability to push waves even when traditionally support started in the duo lane. If you had a Sylvanas, you basically won the lane no matter what your lane partner was.
Yeah, especially with the Poseidon. Like, if you have a Poseidon as well, there is no reason you should be losing lane. And also they're able to skill not only the mid camps, but the elementals. Noxide opting this time to go for the red buff, not opting to go for the left-hand side mid camps, just making sure they don't get stolen away like last time, as Just Being and Tomolomi can easily regain the pressure, even coming to lane just that little bit later, and the Vulcan turret is not enough.
So we're seeing here El Kuro hasn't picked up a relic for the start of the game, and this is something he does quite often, is that he doesn't pick up his relic in his first wave. He waits till his first back to decide what he wants, whether he thinks something like the teleport is going to be necessary if he's forced out of wave, or if he goes something a little bit more aggressive, in the case of the Tib, maybe something like a blink.
I wouldn't be surprised either if he's still got the teleport. That's the great thing about saving your relic until you get back. You don't need the teleport until you've already back for the first time, so if you don't need it and instead need to pick something else up, it just gives you that options as you were speaking of, and it just really allows Tia to do quite a lot of different options. You can even go for the meditation if you want to be looking for early team fights and keeping the team alive as well.
Left-hand side, Harpy's going to fall the way of Team Noxide, as Avant go and secure their buff camps, back camps, pretty much everything that they can on their side of the map. This is a bit more of a passive game compared to the one we saw last time, and even the matches we saw between Legacy and Pretty Boys. No invasions coming out from either of these teams, no attempt to really take the farm away from the other side.
However, that ping coming out from Noxide, and they will start the Oracle Harpies. Just Speedy, Tomolomu is there, and Sharks looking to try and get something as Noxide able to zone away for long enough and secure themselves the Oracle Harpies.
This is how they started last game as well, was a lot of pressure on the Oracle Harpies, a lot of vision around that area of the map, but they aren't the most important objectives of the map, so I'm really hoping that Noxide doesn't put too much importance on them.
I feel like it's still kind of important to get them early, though, just simply, not even just for the ward vision. The ward vision is very nice, and this time they're against a Willix. You can't do the same things as Thor, but just the fact that they're getting that experience in Gold Lead, that can set them up for later on. And since they didn't get the Elementals, which are currently considered one of the more important buffs in the game right now compared to mid camps, it basically puts them back into line where they were before. Not to mention, giving the XP to Freya is never bad.
Speaking of giving XP to Freya, split push over here by himself in the duo lane, just solo farming up, like we saw the ADCs do last game. He's hit level 5 before, just as Zaze has hit it as well. So he's keeping himself even in this lane as well, which is, perhaps a little bit more difficult for Freya in the early game compared to other hunters.
Yeah, Freya is not going to have an easy, especially since she doesn't have any power except from the Sands of Time, and she doesn't have that Khepri to back up. Khepri was in that duo lane. Khepri definitely, similar to Sylvanas, has really decent clear early on thanks to the Rising Dawn. And Zaze, he can just use those Astral Arrows to cleave through the way, while Freya kind of has a little bit harder trying to line up those pulses and trying to clear the way, but a bit more of an awkward style, and she may even have to back early, and as you can see, she's actually doing bad camps to kind of supplement a bit more farm into her life.
So he's poking his head in the jungle. We're trying to find out where his opposite number was. Right-hand side mid camp is not going to be started up now by Avant. So again, the contention in this game has really been around neutral objectives. We haven't seen invades. We haven't seen kind of any attempts at ganks or even committing to a fight in any of the lanes. Really, really passive start to this one.
Well, both sides, they're looking for that late game. They've got the ROM. However, Zaze actually going in with the cripple. Split push getting very low as the banish comes out, trying to keep Zaze away. Now the Valkyrie's discretion.
Zay's up into the sky. Split push going to be landing in just a second. First snipe lands. Second one as well. And needs one more to get the kill. Zay's solo kill onto split push in the duo lane.
And that is the power of the Ram versus the Freya. And due to the fact that Noxide didn't put a single bit of pressure onto Zay's, it just allowed him to just look for that opportunity. And he knew they weren't going to be coming. Currently, the only vision they have actually, which has already disappeared, is the Oracle Harpies. And that just meant they could go in. And now it looks like as well, possibly Avant may be looking for an invade. And over in solo lane, Freemason, Berserker Barrage onto Rob Diggity.
He's going to be okay, though. Is Rob Diggity going to be able to walk away here? But from behind, Tomalamu coming through. There's just no damage, though. Tomalamu blinks in, gets a knock up on a wall from Freemason. Saves his life there as Rob Diggity was unable to get his ultimate off in time. Texi jumps away there as well. So 2 ultimates burned from Avant and the Blink Relic.
However, just Speedy is kind of lurking behind the shadows. He knows he can look for the Kraken. Texi popping the Raven Shield, possibly a little bit too early. And Avant now diving this tower with a full minion wave.
Oh, great wall there from Freemason, stopping the advance of Just Speedy under the tower. So Avant-Garde really not going to get anything off this big push on the right-hand side. Left-hand side, we can see Noose and Shark's going to be able to take away those Oracle Harpies yet again.
That was just a little bit long from Avant. They kind of just stayed there. They didn't really achieve anything. If anything, they just split away 4 ways. And with the current changes to how XP works, especially the Brimber's Mask, that is not something you want to be doing that early on. Not to mention, that was such a free Oracle Harpies. You would think Avant would possibly consider, after especially what happened last early game, that they would really want to kind of like punish the fact that Noxide had such a high priority on those Oracle Harpies.
Mid lane, yet again, we see a bit of a stalemate here between the teams, both just trying to push it forward, but instead of, when they get the push advantage, instead of invading their enemy camps, they're just going for their own ones, securing their own buffs. That is, while securing your buffs and stuff is important, it's as equally important to take buffs away from the enemy to get yourself some kind of a noticeable lead.
Yeah, currently the only real lead we can see is actually over in the mid lane where Just Speedy has a 1-level lead over Noose, but other than that, it's not really much of a lead. However, Just Speedy, like last game, is already building into that duel, and quite a risky pickup compared to a Thoth who has that massive dash.
I guess so. I guess so. But at the same time, it's the same principle. And what we've noticed from other Poseidons throughout this day is that they've really lacked damage in the early game. That's what this Doom Orb provides, though. It gives you a fair bit of damage. It gives you a lot of mana. It gives you MP5s that's going to allow you to use your abilities a lot more before you have to base. And when you finally do get an opportunity to use that Kraken, it's going to hit a hell of a lot harder.
And also, have a look at the relics on the side of Noxide. Not a single one has an Aegis. There are a lot of purifications. There's even a shell coming out of Sharks as well as the Mark of the Vanguard. But currently there's no way to immune that damage other than just getting out of the Kraken Whirlpool damage, which can be quite hard, especially if the Tomalamu's already gone in and done that massive knock-up to just set them up really nicely for them.
All right, Avant invading the blue buff here. Should be able to get it. Elkiro fearlesses it into the wall just to make doubly sure that it's secure. Texi gets the ring there onto Speedy. Speedy might take some damage here, but the ultimate doesn't land. Freemason does, so straight into the head of Speedy. Sharks gets the first kill for Noxide. It is onto Speedy there for Avant-Garde, and now retreating are both teams. The camps were stolen away by Avant-Garde. Speed buff going to be secured by Team Noxide, and that's a good kill there for Team Noxide. They managed to, sometimes kills are more than just about the golden experience you get from it. It's about the mental aspect of it as well. If you can get yourself a kill, the score's tied up, the more obvious score anyway. Positive signs for Team Noxide moving forward.
It's also a mental aspect of losing stacks. Like, there's very few items left in the game that actually have this idea that you can lose stacks on death. And just seeing the fact that you just halved the amount of power you just had, or half the amount of MP5 you were just getting, it's just a really disappointing sight. And it makes you think about it, especially since it's such an obvious combo as well. It's like, Odin Cage, Vulcan Ultimate. It's like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, especially Freemason there doing a really nice job to ensure that Just Speedy wasn't getting off the Kraken, wasn't getting away whatsoever. And Shy's just kind of finishing off with the Rising Dawn just in case the good old support kill secure, not kill steal.
Zays went to try and steal away the Oracle Harpies. Oh, sorry, to get some pressure onto the Oracle Harpies, I should say, but not going to do it. Vulcan turret going to deal some damage to it, but Zays should be able to secure these objectives overall as Tomalamu and Rob Diggity walking through here, looking for Noose, knocks him up. No, the beads are good there from the mid laner of Team Noxide. Takes a fair bit of damage. That Kraken comes through. Noose still alive. Vulcan ultimate out as well. And now it's going to be Speedy in some trouble. Freemason picks up the kill. Zays looking for the snipes, hits them, but it's not enough damage to take down Noose. Tomalamu walking through the tower. Split push gets a kill for himself there. 2 kills to none for Team Noxide.
And now Rob Diggity getting hit by the bird bomb as well as the pluck. The Odin Cage sadly not able to connect.
Elkiro's stuck in here, but going to use the Lawbringer ultimate to get himself out. Texi in the mid lane, chasing down Rob Diggity, forcing him away from this Gold Fury. And Noxide, rather than go for the Gold Fury, are going to look to take away this red buff. Really important that they do take this one away here. While they might be able to have gone for the Gold Fury, taking away the enemy's farm is just as important, and this is a bit of a safer option as well.
Not to mention right now, almost all of them except for Texas have very low mana bars, and if they were to commit to this Gold Fury right now, the rest of Avant can just come back in and just take it all away. So just instead just denying the buffs, playing it a bit more safe, and knowing that they've been able to take away those buffs is just good enough for them. And I was kind of confused what Avant were doing in that team fight. They dive very, very deep, especially just Speedy, but he doesn't have the mobility. He hasn't even finished his boots.
Yeah, it's very difficult for him to get away from this Odin, especially if he's jumping in on him. Avant has started up the Gold Fury here. Whirlpool comes through from Noose just to get them all crippled and taking some damage, and to prevent Avant from committing fully to that objective.
Yeah, there's no way currently that Avant can try and commit to that objective. Not only are they behind, but just the numbers on the board are just too high, especially with the fact that Noose can just fire that Vulcan ultimate from such far away and steal it so easily now that Wrath of the Gods is no longer an actual useful item.
All right, taking a look at our graphs here. Very even game. Gold difference. Oh, Noose actually put in the mid lane. Cracking combination going to be enough to pick up the Vulcan. A lot of ultimates used there, but Freemason was in the air at the time as well. So 3 ultimates for 1 there, but importantly, a big kill onto the mid laner of Team Noxide.
That was so quick. Like, as you noticed, you were trying to read off the grab, and then suddenly the blink came in from Tom. Rob Diggity able to get off the gravity surge and just Speedy straight into the Kraken. That is what you're really looking for from Avant. And that's what they need to keep doing to bring it back. If they keep doing that in every single team, if they keep bringing Bing of Noose, they're just going to lose a lot of the magical damage that they originally have. Even though they do have split push, it is not the same kind of burst. It's the DPS. It's not the same as using a Vulcan ultimate or a Vulcan magma bomb. And now they'll allow them to sneak in this Gold Fury after a really nice fight in the mid lane.
That's really the first time we've seen the Poseidon combination used to its actual, how it's supposed to be used, basically. That's the first time we've seen it done all day, and we can see how potent it is. So, you know, the idea that previous teams have had of using this Poseidon hasn't necessarily been a bad one. It's been more in the execution of that game plan.
And now over in the side lane, Texi's dropping the owning cage on Tomolo as well as Elkiro 3 there, but they're not actually going to do much of it. Just drop the cage, walk away.
Yeah, they realized they didn't have the damage online to really take anyone out there, so they just take advantage of the cage and disengage themselves from a fight that they didn't really see going in their favor.
And now over in the mid lane, we do see that Freemason Sharks just securing those mid cams and is now going back to the usual kind of farming, just Speedy, using the turtle surge actually perfectly there, actually denying Sharks from being able to pull him.
Alrighty, taking a look at our graphs once again, still very even, 400 experience. Barely in favor of Team Noxide, but the gold, after that big Gold Fury take by Avant, 1800 in favor of the team on the Chaos side of the map.
1800 at this stage of the game, it could be very, very much worse, as we saw during Legacy and the Pretty Boys, and it's very attainable to come back. One good team fight from them, especially Freemason's been actually really on point this game. Last game, he wasn't getting as much success with the Susano, but the Thor dunks have actually been on point. His shot calling's been on point. Having a look at the player damage charts, he's currently topping the charts, 3,600, followed only currently by Split Push on 3,000 and Noose.
Alrighty, 12.5 minutes in, we can see Noxide pushing this mid lane thus far. No towers have been taken. Solid side tower of Team Noxide is very low. Elkiro having shoved several lanes under there. Tomolomo, a little bit of trouble here, doesn't get rooted in by Sharks, but is taking a lot of damage. Knocks up Sharks. Texi looking for Rob Diggity, not going to go for the jump there as he recognizes the Wheelix ultimate is up. But Tomolomo there, I thought for sure he would have died.
The thing is, Tomolomo, he knew he has the sustain, not to mention he does have as well the Traveler's Shoes for the additional little bit of HP buy once he gets out of combat. And he's already building into the Steel Metal, which will most likely go into the Sovereignty. A weird item, though, however, which you don't think I don't think I'll ever see this again on a support, is a Boomber's Mask. Which I don't...
Run through that for me. What Boomber's has changed this season, you know, what's the value in picking it up?
Boomber's Mask is especially valuable if you're going to be a jungler, or sometimes, personally I disagree with this, but some people will say they want to pick it up on a mid laner, just due to the fact you get additional gold from getting last hits, as well as the healing is still the same sort of thing as last season. However, if you're picking up a Sylvanas, you're not most of the time getting the last hits. Over in the solo lane though, under tower, Elkiro and Rob Diggity looking for something as the Odin Cage has already been used.
Texi going to be able to walk away from it, though, with the Raven Shield, giving him enough protections, but that's completely fine to Elkiro and Rob Diggity. They're not really worried about getting the kill there. They're focused on taking this right-hand side tower, which they are going to do, and this opens up the speed buff for Speedy and Tomolomo to take, but left-hand side, Zaze is in a lot of trouble here. Split Push used his ultimate already. Zaze trying to get the last hits onto him. Wall unsuccessful from Freemason. Spin to win. Not going to do enough damage here. Zaze forced the purification away. Freemason, one basic attack will do it if he can get the kill. But Zaze running away towards his tower. Aegis popped by Zaze as well. He might actually get away from this one. Rolls away from it. Freemason chasing down. Does get the spin to win between the towers.
Yeah, there was all the efforts in the world, and that purification that kept him alive from the solar flare from being rooted, but that sadly wasn't enough. And now Noxide are going to do the reverse of what Avant Garde just did in the solar lane, taking down this T1. Over in the mid lane though, Texi's in a world of trouble as the Kraken as well as the Wrath of Terror will easily finish him off.
Nowhere for Texi to run there. This mid tier 1 tower is going to fall down. Noxide were briefly considering going for the tier 2 over on the left hand side and possibly could have got it, I would think, but just going to leave that one be. Now, 2 towers have fallen for Avant Garde, and this mid-tier 1 tower is really the most important tier 1 tower in the game because it opens up so much of the map for you to invade.
Yeah, now also due to the fact they got that solid tier 1, speed buff is completely open, and we're seeing that speed buff is going to be quite important in this game. The mobility is really what's keeping Noxide in this game. They've been doing a really nice job of actually, in earlier fights, just basically just using that speed as their advantage. And now that they may not be able to get that anymore, and now instead, it actually may make it a lot harder now they've lost the timer as well, just really unknown about their own burst, which can be quite problematic, especially even in the late game.
We're seeing a little bit of a lead now for Avant Garde. 1,300 experience, 3,200 gold going their way. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Noxide to fight into them at this stage. They really need to be careful that this lead doesn't get out of hand.
Well, especially because what Avant Garde, they may not be ahead in kills, but they are very much already ahead in objectives. Zaze pushing down this tower with ease, just Speedy putting down a little bit of pressure on Split Push, as that tower is already getting shredded with the Astral Arrows as well, just going right through, and Tomolomu blinking under the tower. Forcing
the ultimate out of Split Push as well. He's going to be very vulnerable when he lands. Knocked up there by Rob Diggity, plucked in as well. Auto attack is going to finish him off. Vulcan ultimate came out as well. Great knockbacks there by Elkiro onto Noose. So, the Khepri ultimate out as well. Noose is going to survive. He's meditated as well. Khepri ultimate pop. Cage comes through from Texi. Kraken from Speedy as Noose revives. Gets the kill. 2-man knockback there by Elkiro onto Sharks and Texi. Sharks taking a lot of damage. He doesn't have the Khepri ult to keep himself alive. Texi trying to peel for his teammate. The Whirlpool comes out. And now Avant Garde, they took down the tier 1 left-hand side tower. They're looking for the tier 2.
And then while they're looking for the tier 2 as well, Sharks getting pulled under. Rob Diggity getting the kill there, but then straight away Texi's lunging right on top of him. However, this is going to be one suicidal leap, as the wall from Freemason will not be enough to save Texi.
Zaze gets the kill there. 2 towers fall for Avant Garde, and now they're going to turn their sights to the Gold Fury. Should get this one pretty free. It's only Freemason and Split Push left alive, and neither of them have their ultimates. Zaze, Tomolomu, and it's just Speedy once he gets back. Should be able to take this one relatively quickly.
That was just a really decent fight there from Avant Garde, especially using that Odin Cage to their disadvantage there. Elkiro getting a 2-man Fearless onto both the Khepri as well as the Odin. And they were trapped under that tower, just constant slows coming up from Just Speedy, and now he's even finished his Gem of Isolation. Just more slows as well. You've got Zaze with the slows, you've got Tomolomu who can slow, Just Speedy who can slow, Rob Diggity can slow, and even Elkiro who's going to be pushing you back into them, making it even harder for you to run away. Sharks tried his best, but really couldn't pull off anything in that team fight.
Looking at our graphs now, we can see the steep decline of Team Noxide. 6,000 experience, 7,500 gold, all in favor of Avant Garde at this stage in the game. And I was just saying before this, Noxide need to be careful that Avant Garde don't snowball this lead into something more. It was hard for Noxide to fight into before. Now it's next to impossible.
Yeah, currently, just looking at the items, just comparing, especially Naos and Just Speedy. Naos hasn't even finished his 3rd item. Just Speedy finished a Doom of a Shoes of Focus, not Shoes of Focus, Shoes of the Magi, as well as General Isolation, looking to probably build into a Dynasty Plate Helm himself. It's just such a massive disparity, 3 levels as well. Looking in the solar lane, Elkiro, 3-level lead. Jungle is actually swapped only just because Freemason have been doing a decent job farming. But even in the duo lane, you then also get another 2-level lead. Just all these different leads that Avant Garde are just slowly building on, and it's getting faster and faster, that lead.
Mid lane now, Avant Garde grouping around to potentially look for this tower. Texi gets the cage onto Tomolomu. He knocks up Texi. Kraken comes out from Speedy, and Split Push is already 50% HP. Elkiro around the back. Fearless is Texi into the wall. Noose trying to do some damage to the wall from Freemason. Locks Elkiro in place, but he's a very tanky tier at this stage. He's going to be alright with this. Lawbringer's actually into the fight. Texi jumps in. Tomolomu's very low. Split Push has already used his ultimate, but Zaze is here. Zaze is dealing out the in-hands. Rob Diggity over the wall, looking for something, just trying to pick his target, but not going to find anything.
Yeah, that is the one weakness you will find with the Willix in these massive team fights. The Willix can't just go in, similar to how a Thor can dive the backline. She needs to kind of like wait before something has happened, or before there's enough setup, as we saw earlier with the Wrath of Terror into the Gravity Surge. And that can be something that Noxide can look to build off of if they look to actually just dive Rogue Diggity and just basically try and pick him off as soon as possible and just eliminate that really sneaky threat in the jungle.
So while we're in a quick pause here, starting of the graphs shows a very similar tale to before. I'm looking as well at what kind of Noxide's win condition is here, like how they win a fight. Yes, the Vulcan ultimate does a lot of damage, but you have to be at long range to fully maximize the potential of it. And even still, how much damage can you do when you're a level 12 Vulcan in the mid lane that hasn't, as you mentioned, even finished your third item yet? So I'm really just struggling to see what Noxide can actually do to win a fight.
If anything, what Noxide needs to do right now, just avoid all the fights in general. Just stop trying their best to get some farm, especially onto this Freya. Freya does not do well from behind. She's a very feast or famine kind of god. If she's behind, she is not going to be doing anything, especially since she only has Shoes of Focus and a Demonic Grip, not even a fully finished Bancroft's Talon. Look at Zay's though. Ninja Turbo, Devour's Gold, the Silver Branch Bow, Executioner, and probably a Wind Demon as well. He is far ahead, even looking at net worth as well. He is just zoomed right ahead. And as you can see, there's just red then blue for net worth. And Noxide, they need to think of something fast.
I certainly do. It's 19 minutes in, getting to the stage where this Ram's really becoming difficult to contain and next to impossible. In fact, he's starting to get crit online as well. Once he gets that Wind Demon or Poison Star online, I'm going to start to call the game kind of at that point there. But Noxide, what they need the perfect combination. They need the Odin Cage into the Thor ult, into the Vulcan ult, with the Freya doing as much damage as she can in the meantime. And even then, it's going to be very difficult for them to win the fight.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to how the Odin uses the cage, because currently, Avant Garde, they have a lot of options to get out of that cage, and even in the cage, they still have the range as well as the blink runes. However, over in the solo lane, cage comes down.
Texi just caging and Rob Diggity and Tomalomi, they're stopping them from aggressing on him, but now Avant Garde with that big ultimate down is starting to look for farm elsewhere on the map. They're de-warding around the Fire Giant, and it looks like they're starting it up. They should be able to get a decent chunk of this down. If Noxide recognize what's going on, they can contest this one. Fire Giant at 25% HP. Avant Garde, though, not committing to this one.
No, instead they're choosing to leave the Gravity Surge on the Texi Kraken, as well as revive.
The Kekri revive is beautiful there from Sharks as Texi managed to jump away. Freemason comes crashing down from the sky. Vulcan ultimate doesn't land on anyone. Tomalomu gets his man, who is Split Push, picks up the kill there. Freemason locked in place there by the Whirlpool. Beautiful there from Speed. And Freemason locked down under the tower. Speedy, though, taking a lot of damage from Noose. Zaze has got himself a double kill. Around the back, Texi comes crashing in. He's looking for Speedy. The Whirlpool keeps Texi in the moment. Speedy does fall down. Zaze should be able to pick up the kill in just a second, as Sharks is knocked back by the fearless combo of Elkiro. Tomalomu, actually the one with the kill. Elkiro keeping Sharks in place as Zaze and the rest of Avant Garde to take down this tier 2 tower.
That was a really nice job from Avant Garde, recognizing the fact that Naos does have the Earth Shaker. So if he was able to steal out the Fire Giant, that would have just been a massive waste. Not to mention, they would have taken quite a lot of damage before the fight even started. Instead, they forced the issue and forced Noxide to either go on the defensive or the offensive. And due to the fact Just Speedy does have that dual isolation, any sort of indecisiveness will just get them caught out. And now they've turned back into the Fire Giant. Just Speedy up in 10 seconds. And by that point, the rest of Avant now look to push down the final tier 2 in the mid lane.
Fire Giant falls. The Portal Demon isn't available for Avant Garde to get themselves quick access back to this side of the map, but looking at the graphs, yet again, 10,000 experience difference, 11,000 gold for Avant Garde. With the Fire Giant buff for them, what Noxide need to do here is play really smart and play very defensively.
And even then, if they play defensively, they need to defend under Phoenix. If they try and defend this tier 2, they're just going to throw away more wasteless lives. Zaze doesn't even care about towers anymore. They will just disappear in under seconds. You also got the Poseidon using his 2, and even though he has lost his Doom Orb stacks, it still doesn't mean much when he's popping that 2 and doing 3 auto attacks at once. And currently, Noxide, they're just trying to get that bust before the impending doom that is Avant Garde.
Alrighty, Avant looking to group up on this left-hand side of the map, it seems. Might attempt to take the Gold Fury, so that just basically denying it to Team Noxide more than anything. They don't really need the gold. They're all getting towards the full build stage of the game. Always is nice to have more gold in pocket though, but importantly, it denies it from Team Noxide as a comeback mechanic in this game. So they take out the Gold Fury. Tomalomi pushes the left-hand side a little bit. Now they're grouping towards the mid lane.
And due to the fact as well, look where Split Push is. He's currently all the way over in the solo lane. Everyone else pushing on the tower. If Avant realizes what's going on, they can just look to go right now. The blink from Sylvanas is online, so they're just looking to go in.
Texi jumps in, doesn't manage to land on anyone. Cages in 2 people, but takes a lot of health for his trouble. Freemason crashes down onto 2. Vulcan ultimate only hits this very tanky Sylvanas. Meditation used by Texi, but Avant still very healthy. The regeneration from the Fire Giant buff and from the Sylvanas certainly helping them out a lot here, especially now 3 big team fighting ultimates are down for the side of Noxide.
And Avant, they're just waiting for this next mini wave to arrive. 4 of them Fire Giant buff, and there goes the blink from Tomolomu.
Sharks is pulled in there. Wall from Freemason is not enough to save the life of his supporters. Rob Diggity picks up the kill with the Feather Step. Elkiro zoning away the rest of the team. Tier 2 mid tower falls. Noxide committed way too much to that relatively insignificant tower at this stage of the game, and now they're pushing for the middle Phoenix. Great walls from Freemason. He's actually had a tremendous game for himself, but the rest of the team around him just hasn't performed up to par. Middle Phoenix falls down, and now Avant-Garde looking for the left-hand side bird.
And now, due to the fact they still have almost full health, the Whiz from Sylvanas is just making too much sustain. Freemason trying to pick up just Speedy, but the Kraken just being the divide between the two.
Texi jumps in. Zay's dealing a lot of damage here. Cage once again from the solo laner of Team Noxide. Zay's up in the sky, just escaping the damage from Split Push and Texi. Not really looking to land a shot here, but Split Push takes a lot of damage. Great whirlpool by Speedy, forcing Texi to be unable to jump onto his ADC. Rob Diggity in the meantime picks up Split Push. Noose doesn't knock up Rob Diggity as Freemason's crashing down on the left-hand side. Speedy knocks him up into his own whirlpool. Speedy gets the kill. Avant-Garde, they're winning fights all over the shop here, and now the left-hand side Phoenix is going to be the target for the boys in blue.
Vulcan ultimate only able to hit Elkiro as it just takes a tiny bit of damage. Now it's Noose getting slowed by the whirlpool, and Avant regrouping. The Whisper still very much available, almost full mana except for just Speedy, and they're looking to just go again at this Phoenix.
They should be relatively free. There's only 3 members of Team Noxide left alive, and Avant-Garde could possibly even look to push for the win here. Split Push is not up for another 10 seconds. Freemason for another 20. Instead, they're going to play it a bit safer. They're going to back, buy, and then look to push down some of these other objectives.
I don't even think they need to go for other objectives, really. They just need to get that final Phoenix and just push for time, finish off those items, get your rituals that you need online, and really just go for the end, because now this game has gone to the point of ridiculous, especially the mid lane. Noose has been completely shut down this entire game, and Rob Diggity has done an amazing job on the jungle on that Wheelix.
He's been in all the right places he's needed to be, and he's really capitalized off the setup from his team, and there's a lot of it to be had. There's knockups on multiple members of his team that he's managed to actually choose his targets very carefully in this one, just to get to take down the member of Team Noxide that his team needs him to take down.
And there's also the other issue on the side of Noxide. Even though they have the Brawler's Beast Stick, they have the Curse of Anchor as well as the Pestilence. The sustain is just too much just due to the level disparity. You got Tier healing, you got Sylvanas healing the rest of the lineup. Even Poseidon now has that Pythagorean pace to be life-stealing off his abilities. There's just not enough damage to counteract the amount of sustain coming out. And Noxide, they are currently in a lose-lose situation, and they're trying to find a way to swim, even though they're sinking so fast.
All right, 25 minutes, nearly 26 into this game. Won't even bother looking at the grass at the moment, because I know it's all going to be a straight red line down, all in favor of Avant-Garde. 14-6 free to kills. Only 1 Phoenix left available, protecting the Titan of Team Noxide. Portal Demon is taken by Avant-Garde. Fire Giant will be spawning soon, to perhaps looking to get a pick off before they start this objective up. Instead, they're going to go back, get the final bits of their items online, take that portal back to the Fire Giant, take that objective down, and then look to push the base.
Yeah, once they get this Fire Giant, that's when you can really start putting a ribbon on this game. And they're all coming through the portal now at just the right time. Zay's popping his steroid, and everyone's just going mad at the Fire Giant. The Fire Giant trying to knock them up, but really, it's not even doing any damage to them at all. And now they just got the Fire Giant 26 minutes in, and they're now looking for the final Phoenix push, as Elkiro has already pushed up the solo wave, waiting for them right now.
Yeah, Elkiro wasn't even with his team for that fight. He managed to keep every single member of Noxide away from the Fire Giant pit during that engagement, giving his team basically free reign to do whatever they pleased over at that objective. Right-hand side Phoenix is going to be the target now for Avant-Garde. Need to choose their engagement here. Texi's actually going to force it for them. Cage is in, but the Phantom is good from Avant-Garde. They walk out of 2 ultimates worth of damage. Freemason misses his ultimate as well. Zay's taken low. Kraken is beautiful onto 2 members of Team Noxide. Sharks is the target. Sharks falls down to Zay's as Freemason's picked up by Rob Diggity. It's only 3 members of Noxide left alive here. Rob Diggity gets himself a second kill. Noose manages to get the H off to immune the damage from Zay's ultimate. Right-hand side Phoenix falls. 5 minutes coming in from the mid lane. This looks like it's going to be game for Team Noxide.
News trying to defend as well as Texas, but the damage just isn't there. And the tie is getting lower and lower as it finally falls. Actually, Avant Garde taking the set 2-0 over Noxide.
Pretty convincing win in that one for Avant Garde. You know, the early game was a little bit rougher than the last one. Team Noxide managed to get some good engagements, but once again, they just fell way too far behind compared to Avant Garde. So when even they were able to get their engagements they wanted in the manner in which they wanted them, it didn't matter. They didn't have the damage. They didn't have the tankiness. They didn't have the sustainability to go toe-to-toe with Avant Garde. And ultimately, it came down to the map control just being far superior for Avant Garde.
Not to mention as well, with that map control, Tomolomi did a really nice job of getting both a Phantom as well as a Ritual Dagger, and almost every single late game team fight, he was just popping that Phantom on both him and Just Speedy. They were walking out the cage. The Vulcan ultimate was maybe hitting Sylvanas for about 200 damage, and after that, they would then just turn around the fight, blink in, and then they would do their combo, and that's when you see the damage. During that entire game, I was looking at the play damage chart. Noose was actually second on the top, but it was so spread out over time, it just wasn't doing anything.
Alrighty, so that is going to do it for us here today at the Smite Oceania Pro League. We will be back tomorrow at the same time with another 3 sets. And the first of these is going to be the Direwolves up against Team Noxide. The Direwolves are defending Oceanic champions, representing the region at Worlds. We'll have to see what they learned there and if they can convert it into something good here in Oceania. So we'll see you guys all tomorrow night.